and welcome back to the SRL TCR League here for season number 11. We are heading into the final few rounds of this 11th season of competition, and we have got the 12th season on the horizon. A reminder to you out there to go and get yourself signed up if you haven't done so already. The season will be kicking off the week after the end of season number 11. No pre-season events this time. We will be jumping straight down in to racing action. So make sure that you do get yourself signed up and you are ready for the next season of competition. Here though at SRL TV and Joseph Wright Broadcasting, we welcome you to round number 8 from Thruxton, the fastest circuit in the UK. 12 corners. Most of those are going to be done at full to near full throttle. It is going to be absolutely great racing action, wheel-to-wheel action, no doubt. Home of amazing racing here around Thruxton, as many of the circuits around the UK are built on a former air base. It is still used as a runway with an active runway in the middle of the racing circuit. No planes are going to be coming in or out of that. However, whilst the racing is underway tonight, 2 races coming your way as normal for these Friday night events. We've got our 20-minute race. That'll be starting it all off. We will then have our 25-minute race with our inverted top 10 to settle the score at the end of the evening. And as we head into the final few rounds, the championship fights are much closer this season than they were in the previous attempt of competition when we headed out for the 10th round of the 10th season of Asking, as we prepare to go racing for this one. And yes, we get down then. So, as I say, 8th round of the season. It has been a great season of competition so far, heading across a variety of circuits. We've headed to a number of circuits based in the UK throughout this season, kicking off back at Donington Park. Of course, we head to Silverstone National for round number 4. Snetterton just a week ago, and now we head out for Thruxton, but we head stateside in a week's time for the penultimate round of the season. Mid-Ohio on June 5th for round number 9. And then Zandvoort, round number 10, will be our final round of competition in 2 weeks' time. It is going to be a fantastic way to end this season. And as I say, the championship fights are oh so close. So let's get into those and talk through each of our championship standings as we go into the 8th round of competition. 7 weeks have been completed. Drop rounds being applied have made this very, very tight indeed. But before we get going, it's important to note in the Pro-Am Championship that there has been quite a significant penalty in the championship going the way of Thomas Coombe out of last week. A Tier 2 penalty for his collision. It is deducted 5 championship points off of him, and that has had a significant impact on the championship. We will start with your Pro-Am field, and you can see the impact straight away of those 5 championship points. Price and Coombe are now level on 413 points apiece, although Coombe does lead on countback. We just can't get the countback on our overlay standings here, but he does lead on countback on that one. So Thomas Coombe still leading the Pro-Am Championship, but due to that penalty, which we just discussed there, he's lost 5 championship points, and that is what has pulled Price level with him. 413 points for each of them. It is then just a skip back towards Lucas Henschel. Don't discount him from the championship with 3 rounds to go. He is sitting with 379 points. Paul Hurley then is behind in 4th position ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah, who himself has a bit of a gap over Josh Taylor. and then another jump down towards Chris London. Marcus Gesdow holds on to 8th position in the championship before we get to Stuart Gibbons, and Dammy Herber rounds out the top 10 in the Pro-Am Championship. It is then Alan McCain at the back, and we've not seen Ben Gibbons getting out onto the track for this season. That is your Pro-Am Championship then. As I say, it's tied a level, very, very close there, and significantly impacted by those championship penalty points going the way of Thomas Kuhn. Before we get across to our amateur field, good evening to all of you who are watching out there, whether it's joining in for the first time, returning for the 8th round of the season, or whether it is a driver and you've decided to come along and watch, then good evening to you over on the YouTubes. We've got Matt Pierce out there saying good evening for tonight. He is the fastest of our amateurs out there right now, and leading your amateur championship. We say hello to Peter Van Gool of the semi-pro class as well over on the YouTube. So we'll have a look at the semi-pro class in just a moment. We'll start with the amateur field though, and start with Matt Pierce himself. He has 345 points to his name, 7 class victories over the course of this season. He went 6 wins back to back, losing out at Snetterton, where he retired from the second race of the day. Contact for him also led to penalty points for Matt Pierce from that contact, although it hasn't had much of an impact in the way of the championship. So it is the Cool Camel Racing Machine at the top of the order. There is a much closer fight, though, in second place. Larson and Mail were tied on points heading into last week's event, but Larson outscoring Mail in both races and getting class victory for the first time in the season in race number 2. Following Pierce's demise means that he is 5 points clear of Mail going into this one. Chris Evans is sitting 4th position in that championship right now, and then it is Pahavard Hafstad in 5th position. Luke James then sits in 6th ahead of Kevin Marshall. Joshua Syme then sitting in 8th position ahead of Scott Malcolm, and Lewis McCaig rounding out your top 10 in the championship. At the back end, it is Shamoy Samuel ahead of Andy Littler. No Michael Gagnon out onto the track so far this season. What we should note is that there are only 3 amateurs preparing to go racing this evening. The field's mostly going the way of the semi-pro class. 8 of those out tonight, 6 pro-ams, there are 4 pros and 3 amateurs. So it is very much a semi-pro, pro-am field of drivers tonight. But what that does mean is if something happens to Matt Pierce, well, then Turbo Mail and Christian Larson are going to look to benefit, but more in that fact of there is the fight going on for second in the championship between Mail and Larson, so we've got to keep an eye out for them in that amateur field. We'll then jump across to the semi-pro field of drivers, and that is going the way of Bradley Sellers. After a great week last time out, he has now got 577 points to his name, 36 points clear over Tony Walker, who was previously leading the semi-pro championship. He's fallen just a little bit. Dennis Titchler holds on to 3rd right now ahead of his teammate Ronald de Jong. It's then another jump back all the way down to Daniel Lewis and Carl Hardy, and then it's JB DeJay in 7th. Fraser Garrity sits in 8th position ahead of his teammate Craig Walters. It is Deck Crowther rounding out the top 10 in your semi-pro field at the moment. Outside your top 10, you have Simon Muldercleave ahead of Peter Van Gool and Marco Mikalainen. Now, just saying how tight this championship is in terms of you need to be consistently running really, really fast out there. Peter Van Gool, who we say hello to over on the YouTube, he took his first class victory last season, race number 1 at Snetterton, ended up inside a top 10 in race number 1, had a really good result there, but he's still finding himself at the bottom end of this semi-pro championship purely because of how difficult this field of cars are, that you do have your semi-pros competing with your pros most weeks, and therefore to be in that semi-pro class it is the step up from Pro-Ams, of course. It's a step below pros, but you do have to take that fight to the pros each week to really be at the top of the order here. And Peter van Gool, he found his pace last week. He'll be hoping to continue through that pace here today. We'll have to see what Van Gool is able to do. Mikalainen, as I said, in 13th. We're yet to see Stephen Fry out there this evening, this season, I should say. And finally, we'll head across to our final championship of the day, the Pro Championship. And this is how it looks going into the 8th round of the season. Kim Borkland at the top of the order, not to be messed with. It is 666 for him as he sits 24 points clear of Ben Oucher. Oucher finally getting victory again last week. Race number 1, managed to do that really dominantly in the first race of the day at Snetterton. Of course, that was the first time he won since round 3 at the Nürburgring. It was win number 3 of the season. Only Dan Mould has won more races than overall race wins, I should say, more races than Oucher at the moment. In the classes, though, Borkland has taken 4 class victories, despite only taking 2 overall race victories over the course of this season, and that is because when he's gone on to win race, I should say he's won 3 actually as well, the same as Ben Oucher, not 2, 3 overall, because the one time that he went on to take class victory at Imola race number 2, it was Ronald de Jong who went on to take overall race victory. Let's see how that plays out for them tonight. Daniel Downing sits in 3rd position right now. Downing stepping up into the Pro Championship this season, of course, after dominating the semi-pros last season. He has taken 2 race victories so far this season. Could he be on with the hunt for a 3rd, possibly even a 4th? Tonight, we are yet to see a driver do a double overall victory across the course of this season. Kim Borkland's the only driver to have taken the double. That was back at Imola, where he took the double in class, but not overall. Gordon Haig sits in 4th position. He's taken 1 class victory, but he's yet to get what was 2 pole positions across the line as overall race victor. He's hoping to try and close back that gap that was so close to his teammate just a couple of weeks ago and try to pull back into the championship fight as we head into the final few rounds. I would say very much out of the championship fight at this moment goes to Dan Mould in 5th position, but he is looking at holding on nicely to that 5th position. Definitely out of your championship, and then your drivers behind. John Brown, 6th position right now, looking to hold on to that ahead of Chris McIntosh. Massive gap down to Mark Draper. Braden Sagasser behind him in 9th. It's Jack Brown rounding out your top 10 in your pros. It's Samuel Spaulding 11th, and we've not yet seen Luke Woodhouse out onto the track. Right then, with us talking through all of the classes, drivers have been getting around their opening laps here, and we will get this qualifying session underway as drivers are going to be heading on to their first timed laps of the day. And I get a new little bit of information on my timing screen as Daniel Downing overdrives that car there. I do now have predicted lap times being shown. You guys can't see it, unfortunately, but I can, which is good news. So I can see when a driver might genuinely be in with a chance of trying to find their way towards the front of the order. Daniel Downing is not going to be the first one across the timing line, not by a long margin. There's a number of them ahead of him who will get there first, but we are going to ride on board the SRL Purple Machine to get a lap of the Thruxton circuit as he came through Allard, keeping it to the left-hand side here. We get onto the braking zone for Campbell, turn number 2, avoiding that curbing on the inside, which was interesting, getting it on the inside of Cobb there before we switch across to Seagrave. You've got to be Seagrave. You've got to be careful there on that curbing. Because if you get it just at a slightly wrong angle, you get a bit too much of it, it'll send you off through Segrave. Coming through Noble now, turn number 5, pushing it up towards Goodwood. The entry here is really important to get the maximum speed that you possibly can on the exit of 6 into 7 of Village, and then up to one of my most favourite corners on the circuit, Church. Get it across to curbing on the inside, push it all the way to the outside. There is no doubt we will see cars visiting the grass on the outside of Church through this evening. out through Brooklands and into Woodham Hill now. Onto the brakes for the final chicane of Club. Turn number 10, you can maximise 11 there, get as tight as you can to the inside. As long as you've got 2 wheels on the curbing, you're going to keep your lap time valid. Daniel Downing, though, comes to a stop before getting a lap time onto the board for him, so he might have picked up. It was certainly earlier than that. It looked like he picked up a slowdown. He cut that corner just a little bit too much from Downing. He picked up a slowdown. Chris London here running around in the 665 machine, the fastest of your Pro-Ams at the moment, heading out in the Audi. He is running under the Blitz Boys Motorsport banner. We see him with a JC Cooley, J Cooley Academy machine, which is something that we saw the Academy team quite a lot last season. I think we saw 3 Academy teams last season. It's dropped down to just the 1 this season, but London, obviously some affiliation there. He is running still under that Blitz Boys Motorsport banner as far as we are aware here over on the broadcast, but he will come up towards the end of the lap. Again, so easy to push yourself over the track limits there, and that's exactly what London did through Church. He just extended a little bit too much. Gordon Haig is the fastest of everyone as it stands. For Haig, he's taken 2 pole positions so far this season. Both times he's gone on to take pole position. He hasn't even taken class victory. The only time we've seen Haig take class victory was at Silverstone, race number 2. He missed out on overall victory to Bradley Sellers of the semi-pros, of course. We head now into Goodwood. Haig is getting the tow here from Ben Oucher. That will be helping him significantly, especially along the back straight here. But of course, if he's getting held up by the Elantra into any of the braking zones, that could cost him time. Oucher, you can see, is matching his time pretty well on the left-hand side. He's going to back out, and it looks like these two are going to be working together. Haig comes into the final chicane, Oucher behind, and it certainly does look like these two are working together. No team affiliation between them, of course. Haig running under the Sim Racing Norway banner. Ben Oucher, no official team banner this season, but affiliated with the Full Tilt machine, of course. But he goes into third, well, he drops down a third fastest as Haig found a significant amount of time on that lap. But this time, Oucher is going to get the tow. So Haig, who's finding himself 0.3 of a second up the road at the moment with a 13.999, might be matched by Oucher in a moment. Daniel Downing goes second fastest in your pros. It is third fastest overall, and as always, we like to get our widgets showing the overall instead of the class positions. I still hate that it defaults to that. And we head around watching these leading pro drivers. Ben Oucher has fallen down to 6th position right now in the overall positioning. However, he has got the tow from Haig this time. Haig doesn't back out and get out the way. Maybe Oucher's going to push for the 2. Extended the limits there, but it didn't look like he picked up a slowdown. He's going to go again. Was it an improvement for Oucher? No, it was an invalid lap for Oucher. He did pick up a slowdown in that chicane. Kim Portland goes second fastest. We talked about Van Gool taking class victory last week. Well, he's just joined his teammate on the front of the order for your semi-pros. Carl Hardy, the fastest of your semi-pros, and Peter Van Gool, your second fastest. The Result Clothing team here looking mighty quick right now, but Daniel Downing finds his way up the order now. We're waiting for Vigard, Olsen Lea and JB Paget to get points on the board. Olsen Leo has been in with the fight over in the Pro-Am field throughout the course of this season, stepping up after winning the amateur field last season, of course. He has fallen off in more recent races, not being able to attend does have that effect. He'll be hoping to try and get some good points on the board in that Pro-Am machine, but his first lap time onto the board is only good enough for 18th position right now ahead of Lucas Henschel. Good evening to everyone watching here tonight and joining in on the SRL TV and Joseph Wright broadcasting coverage, no matter where you are watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button or that follow button so you're notified when we go live and you don't miss a single event. We head up towards the end of season number 11 with only 3 more weeks remaining, including tonight at Thruxton, but season number 12 will be kicking off in, what would it be now? 3 weeks' time. Yes, it'll be 3 weeks' time. We will be heading out for season number 12 for round number 1. No preseason events. Make sure that you are joining us for that one. And if you haven't done so already, get yourself signed up for the next season of competition. Good evening to those, everyone in chat though. John over on the Twitch as well. Good evening to you and welcome in. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday indeed. We get on to the breaks then as we head towards the end of the lap. Olsen Leah loses the rear end. Very uncomfortable there. The car started to bounce, and for Vigard Olsen Leah, he'll find himself the wrong way at the chicane. He's got the tyres in those good working temperature though that he doesn't want to go back to pit lane and get it all started again. So he'll do a very slow 8-point turn and get himself out of the chicane and up to the timing line here. Marko Mikalainen running around in Paul Hurley's team, pole position. 7th position overall, 4th fastest in your semi-pros, because Demis Tichler has now gone 2nd fastest in that semi-pro field of drivers. But look at the gap there between Carl Hardy and Ben Oucher. That is ridiculously small. I'm trying to figure it here, because Tichler and Van Gool officially have identical lap times, 14.349, which is close. They're only 18 thousandths off of Hardy. Then we've got Lewis. Now Tichler's gone a little bit faster. He's decided he doesn't want to be tied on Van Gool, but each of them are less than like half a tenth from the guy in front of them. Oucher's only 1,000th off of Daniel Lewis. It's crazy close out there. Good evening to Phil McDougall as well over on the YouTube, watching in from Donington in a tent. Lovely weather for it, I must say. I'm sure it's quite warm for you actually this evening in a tent rather than our usual British weather that we get as we head up towards turn number 1 for Mikalainen. He gets onto a new lap. Matt Pierce was running rather fast in the practice session. I wouldn't call him slow here. He's a second off. You know, that's still quite close in a lap time that's 1:13. However, I am also quite surprised that he isn't up inside the top 10 at this moment in time. Matt Pierce can really get some good lap times on the board. Of course, when we set the classes at the beginning of the season, there's always that leeway in the first few rounds just to think about, okay, let's get these classes confirmed. Classes were confirmed going into Silverstone, and that is when Matt Pierce came out the woodwork. So there were no more changes after round 3. Silverstone, Matt Pierce has won all bar 1 of those races in class. That's amazing from Pierce. I think he was just waiting, wasn't he? He was just waiting until the classes had been decided, and then he was going to come out the woodwork. He just said it took a little bit of time for it to click, and it clicked. Of course, he didn't take 8 in a row, retiring from the final race at Snetterton after contact. It got picked up some penalty points for that one as well, missing his braking zone into turn number 2. Quite a hefty shunt that one was. JB Deshea is out there. He was the last driver to stick around on the old gen Audi last season. With the next gen Audi, the new one that they're running this season, coming out for this season of competition. Of course, it was introduced in the middle of season number 10. Well, say in the middle, with a couple of rounds to go. Everyone who was in the old Audi jumped ship to the new one. There were a few other drivers who slipped around to the new one as well. JB Deshea sticked in the old one until we jumped into this season. He stayed with the Audi, but he has gone to the new Audi. It has played out well for him across the course of this season in terms of some decent results, but for Deshea, it's not been the best of seasons. It's been bit of an up and down one, running a different colour to what he did last season. It has played out in his favour a couple of times, but yet to take a class victory over the course of the season, which he was able to do last season. So he still needs to step up into that level again for the end of this one. Talking about the end of this one, we've got 2 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Gordon Haig is currently on provisional pole position, 0.2 of a second clear of Daniel Downing. Now that could, it's good news, isn't it? Gordon Haig, he takes pole position. That's going to be excellent news for race number 1. Is it really where the 911 machine wants to find himself? The previous 2 times he's taken pole, at Imola and at Watkins Glen, Gordon Haig has not gone on to win either race number 1 or race number 2. Not just in overall result, but in class as well. For Gordon Haig, it's not been the best of seasons going into the second half. He was up at the top of the order, only a couple of points off of Kim Borkland heading into the halfway stage. And in the last recent weeks, he's been caught up in issues. He's had his own issues, and it's caused him to fall down the order. Now, last week, don't forget, race number 1, it really ruined his weekend at Snetterton. He was hit off by Dan Mould. We looked at the incident. We called it on broadcast from what we saw. Of course, a racing incident. However, that's not what was decided by the stewards at the end of it. On reviewing the incident, it became a Tier 2 penalty for turning across into Gordon Haig. That was 12 penalty points going the way of Dan Mould, which is great for, Haig thinking, okay, well, Mould's got the penalty. But Mould was never going to be in the championship fight anyway. And what it meant for Haig is he lost a lot of points last week that he'll be hoping doesn't happen this week. Pole position could place him in a perfect position away from everybody else to avoid any incidents and maximise his championship points. Because he could pull himself back into this. He still has an opportunity to win the championship. But is he going to be able to do so? That is going to be the question as qualifying ticks over to a close. We are done here in qualifying for round number 8 at Thruxton. We will have our first grid lined up and ready in just a moment for our first race of the day. This is our 20-minute race, remember. The results of this race will set your grid for race number 2 with the top 10 reversed. Right then, let's have a look at the starting grid for round number 8 here. Race number 1, Gordon Haig will be on pole position ahead of Daniel Downing. It's the 3rd time this season that Gordon Haig has been able to place himself on pole. He matches Dan Mould's record with that. Daniel Downing will be starting in 2nd ahead of Ben Oucher, with Kim Borkland in 4th position. They are all of your pro drivers heading out there this evening. Demis Titcher will be starting in 5th position, the fastest of your semi-pros, ahead of Carl Hardy. It is then Peter Van Koolen 7th, ahead of Mikalainen and Lewis. Matt Pearce did manage to get himself into the top 10, potential invert position at the end of race number 1 to start the fastest of your amateurs. Your fastest Pro-Am is Thomas Coombe, championship contender, tied on points, of course. He does not have his championship rival out there this evening. Fraser Geraghty will be starting in 12th position on the grid. It is then Chris London in 13th ahead of Bradley Sellers. Josh Taylor will be in 15th with Lucas Henschel in 16th. Paul Hurley starting 17th position. Torben Mayle, 2nd fastest of your amateurs, will be starting in 18th position ahead of his championship rival Christian Larsen. Vigard Olsen-Lear will be starting in 20th position, the slowest of your Pro-Ams. And your slowest semi-pro, no time on the board for JB Dejay. He'll be starting this one from the back of the order. Let's see what he is able to do in a recovery drive from 21st on the grid. Instant points will matter in terms of penalties. However, they won't matter in terms of lap times. All about the racing here. So JB Dejay will have an opportunity to move up through the field. He'll be hoping to do that. Get past a couple of AMs in front of him and try to make his way through the Pro-Am field. Of course, they take their points from their overall race results, not just their class positions. We get ready for race number 1 here at Thruxton. We are green and away for round number 8 as we head up towards turn number 1. There's contact already along the start-finish line. Issues in the background, more issues as cars find themselves into the wall at turn number 1. There's meatball flags already at the back end of this field. Fraser Garrity, Daniel Lewis find themselves involved with that one, and Lucas Henschel was the car, I believe, that ended up in the tyre barrier through turn number 1. That's got to be one of the roughest starts of the season here as Matt Pearce gets around the outside of Chris London as they come out of Sedgrave up through Noble. You can see the leading 3 drivers going through Goodwood out of the way. Ben Oucher has fallen on the line from inside that top 4 with your pro drivers to 8th position. He's fallen down the field of drivers right now. Carl Hardy to the inside of Demis Titular. They're looking to try and take 2nd in the semi-pro field because Peter Van Gool, after taking class win last week, is looking to try and find it again here today. He leads the semi-pros in 4th overall. Hardy looks towards the inside of Titular. He slows down, and now it's going to cause a little bit of an accordion effect behind him. A couple of bumpers touched, but no further damage for our drivers there. Slow down towards the front of the field. Daniel Downing has just had to pull out of the way through turn number 1 as allowed Kim Borkland through, but he goes back for the overtake into turn 2 as we swap across for Cobb. It looks like Borkland might be dealing with a slowdown now because through goes Peter Van Gool. It is side by side between Van Gool and Borkland. This could bring the championship fight, the race lead fight in your semi-pros back into it because Titular puts his nose up the inside of Van Gool. Van Gool has the inside though as we come through Goodwood, and he's able to get the Audi ahead for the time being as we head on to the back end of the circuit and up towards Church of turn number 8, where we do expect to see a couple of cars pushing it just a little bit too hard and onto the grass through Church, and that looked like that was Bradley Sellers overdriving just a little bit ahead of this train of drivers. Thomas Coombe is chasing in behind. No, so I should say that was Josh Taylor who was overdriving up ahead. This is Bradley Coombe, though, looking to try and get around the outside. Sorry, Thomas Coombe trying to get up behind the outside of Bradley Sellers. Sellers ends up having to cut the chicane with Coombe alongside him. He'll get onto the brakes and give up position. That was Josh Taylor facing the wrong way out of the final chicane as he's found himself around. Marko Milkalainen now has Ben Oucher looking to his inside to try and make the overtake through Campbell, and that's exactly what he is able to do. Mikalainen falls down to 8th position at the front of this. Gordon Haig has pulled a 2-second advantage over Daniel Downing, which means that Haig could be on track for his first ever oval race victory in the championship, not only this season, but when it comes to Gordon Haig, of course, it is the first time that he is racing in SRL. He's taken a class victory, now on the hunt for an overall race victory with Daniel Downing chasing in 2nd position. Right then, let's have a jump back to see what happened on the start line for a few of our drivers. Fraser Garrity got a good jump off of the line. It was in contact with Daniel Lewis. And then Henschel up ahead was then caught himself. Let's go and have a look at what happened to Henschel. He was then caught as everyone was bunching up. There was a little bit of a nudge. And then he is sent off into the wall. A real shame for each of those drivers involved in that one. This is then what happened to Josh Taylor at the final chicane, and he loses it himself through the final chicane, and he does have a big hit with the wall. And then for Taylor, as he tried to continue going around with a damaged car, found himself off again through the exit of Campbell and had to rejoin in Cobb. We go back to live pictures, and we've got Demis Titular leading Marko Mikalainen. Mikalainen looking to the inside through Goodwood. It is going to be side by side as they exit turn number 6. Titular has the speed on the outside, and Mikala's contact. Titular finds himself sideways through. Goes the other field. He slides back on. He avoids the marshal post, but a lot of cars jumping onto the grass to avoid further contact. Somehow, that was not worse than it needed to be. but Demis Titchler finds himself around. This was the contact. And that was definitely Mikalainen moving too far to the left-hand side. This was the slide. And that was then Mikalainen's teammate Hurley, who had to do a big slide to avoid a few of the Sim Racing Norway drivers then all make their way through as well. As we return back to live pictures, you can't put your blame on anyone but Mikalainen in that accident for sure, as it was Titchler all the way to the left-hand side of the circuit. Titchler is looking now to try and get back up the order. He sits behind Deshay. Remember that Deshay started at the back of the field, was unable to get a lap time in qualifying. He is looking to try and get some points on the board, and right now he is now outscoring 3 semi-pro drivers in Titchler, Lewis and Garrity. Garrity out of the race. Thomas Kuhn now over the rear end of Marko Mikalainen in the few Elantras that we have got out there. It's very much an Audi field of cars. As you can see on the left-hand side, there's very much an Audi class. However, it is a few Elantras out there, and Mikalainen and Kuhn are there together right now. Slightly different racing lines for them. Kuhn looking to carry the speed as we come across the timing line here to carry it up towards Campbell through Allard. And that gap is closing ever so slightly. It's about 0.2 per second. He's placing it on the slightly tighter line there. And it's, again, just a different line being run by Thomas Kuhn as he tries to move his way up the order. He won't be able to at the moment, though, because he is just chasing on behind. This is the fight going on, though, for the second position in your amateur field and, crucially, the championship in your amateur field. Christian Larsen, Torbjörn Mael. It is Larsen once again ahead of Mael, and they've got last year's amateur champion in Olsen Lear sitting in between them. Olsen Lear teammates with Mael, of course. Here comes JB Deshay to try and get up to 14th position. Remember, it's your top 10 that will be reversed, and at the moment that will place Thomas Kuhn on pole position for the second race of the day. Good news for his championship fight. Deshay pulls over to the side and gives up a number of positions there. I didn't see an off-track. It looks like Deshay has just decided to abandon his fight with these drivers, as that was Titchler cutting the course ever so slightly in his fight with Mael. Will he have to give up some time? Sorry, that wasn't with Mael, I should say. That was with Hurley. It does look like he might have to give a little bit of time back for that one. We jump up. Thomas Kuhn has been overtaken by Matt Pierce after they swapped over momentarily. They've swapped back again. This is how that one happened, and it looked like it was both in towards turn number 2. Kuhn ahead. It is there. Kuhn behind. He then looks to the inside to get himself ahead. He's not able to. And that was the switch in positions that was popped up on my screen. There could be an overtake for second place overall right now. Daniel Downing has Kim Borkland looking to make a way through. He looks to the left-hand side. It's the longer way round, but it is not going to be the move through for second position just yet. He will have to stay behind as they come on to what will be the 8th lap of asking here. We're almost halfway through this race, and with a lap time of about 1 minute 14 in these race sessions, we're looking at about 17 laps of asking. Torbjörn Mael now is directly behind championship rival sister team Christian Larsen, because Larsen has been overtaken by Vigard Olsen Lear. They have swapped around for 12th place, but that is not stopping the fight going on behind them. Paul Hurley has got Titchler all over his rear end. Hurley to the inside. I don't think he's trying to get to the inside of Mael. He's going defensive on Titchler, but it places him in an awkward line. Titchler tried to get around. A little bit of a nudge, though. That will absolutely kill Titchler's momentum. He has to back out. Borkland has the inside. Through Church. It is side by side for second in your overall race fight right now. Borkland still holds it to the right-hand side of the circuit through Woodham Hill and up towards Club. That inside line could be exactly where he wants to be. Downing breaks a bit earlier. He's looking for the speed on the exit. as they come up towards the timing line. Halfway through our time now on the left-hand side. Downing over the rear end of Borkland. Borkland has gone through. Titular has picked up a meatball flag in his fight going on behind. What has just happened? Because he's not crashed. There's no notification to say he's crashed. It looks like it might have been from that contact. It was from the contact that we saw with Paul Hurley. Demis Titular picked up a meatball flag. Which is a shame for him. He will have to come down pit lane to fix that one. Remember that he was up at the front of the fight until he was spun by Mikalainen. He is still taking the fight here to Hurley, and he's not come down pit lane. But with the amount of laps remaining in this race, Titular has to come down pit lane. And if he causes now an accident with meatball damage whilst he's chosen to stay out, there is no doubt it will not be seen kindly by the racing stewards. Yes, do you know what? If this was in the last couple of laps of asking, his car looks like it's driving relatively okay. So I would say stay out. However, he will get disqualified by the iRacing service if he stays out on this meatball flag for too long. So he has to come down pit lane to serve it anyway. But he's putting a fight to Hurley here. Hurley gets the inside. There's a nudge between the two. It's still side by side, and Titular just won't be able to pull across that time to come into pit lane. He is really hindering Paul Hurley at this stage in the race. And I don't know whether that's because he's picked up the meatball from Hurley or whether he just is taking the fight out there. Doesn't realise maybe that he needs to come in to sort out this meatball damage. But we do have to keep an eye on what is going on there. Up at the front of your semi-pro field, it is teammates fighting out for the lead. Peter Van Gool. I said it last week. Like he's switched across to the Audi to try and get some better results. He abandoned the Honda. The last time we saw him in the Honda, he was upside down at turn number 1 at Mugello. And then he was P1 in class last week, running around in the top 5. Guess what? He's there again, this time joined by his teammate in Carl Hardy. They're looking to go for a 1-2 with the team. But Hardy, surely, he has taken one victory, so has Van Gool. Are they going to fight it for the win? They're 2 seconds clear of Oucher. They're, 7 seconds clear of third in class of Mikalainen. Are they going to take the fight to each other at the end of this one? Are they going to run around in formation flying? That is the question. Titular remains out on his meatball flag, and Hurley has now dropped down into the clutches of JB Dejay as they come up towards turn number 2, and they come through Campbell into Cobb here. Out of Selgrave, and JB Dejay has to drop in behind. No overlap doing throughout those corners. He stepped back a little bit earlier through the course. 6 minutes left on the clock here as Gordon Haig continues to lead this race at the front of the order. Almost 4 seconds clear now of his teammate, his championship rival, the championship leader, Kim Borkland, running around in second position at the moment. Good news for Haig then, he'll be outscoring Borkland. Not good news for Oucher or Downing, who will not be outscoring the championship leader as it stands. They will not be getting the points that they want going into the final couple of weeks of asking. And remember, when we head to Zandvoort, that week cannot be dropped. What it does mean, we will probably see all of our, well, we will see all of our championship contenders get down on track there. What we will also see is, I think, a lot more cars getting out. With it not being a drop, they will see more cars getting out to try and maximise their points at the very end of the season. It will also be the final race before we go straight out for round number 1 of season 12. We come through Goodwood here and up towards Village in what I would call the fight for the semi-pro lead, but I'm more calling a procession at this point. Ben Oucher's half the gap to the Result Clothing team at the front. Are there going to be any overtaking attempts between the two teammates in the final 5 minutes? As it stands, it doesn't look like it. But Kyle Hardy did start second in class. Van Gool started third in class. So Hardy did start ahead. Can he get himself back ahead as we come across the timing line once more? Ben Oucher is going to want to catch up to these and pass them to maximise his points. Of course, being the last of your pro drivers racing tonight, he's certainly not the last of the pro drivers. We've got over 10 of them. I think numbers 13 or 14 for this season. But what we do, what Oucher does need to do is get past them because they take their points from overall race results, and we knew it was coming. Demis Titchler has been disqualified from the race. That is from a failure to serve a penalty with the meatball flag. So Titchler has been DQ'd. We'll likely see him come down pit. Well, we should see him come down pit lane this time around. Thomas Coombe has picked up a meatball flag at the same time Titchler was disqualified. He's picked up a meatball flag from contact, or did he hit that inside wall? He must have hit that inside wall through the chicane from Coombe, because that was enough to pick up damage there. We'll go on board. Ooh, interesting. Did something happen a bit further behind, perhaps? No, it looked like it was that wall. It didn't look like it hit with the wall, but apparently so that was. And that has given Coombe a meatball flag that he now will come down pit lane to sort out. Demis Titchler disqualified then from the race due to the meatball that he failed to serve. That was Olsen Leah allowing Larson and Mail through as they get past Thomas Coombe. Coombe now out of pit lane. This is crucial, in fact, I should mention, because Coombe was at the front of your Pro-Am field. So that contact, that didn't look like contact. I was so thrown from the DQ, I do apologise. I didn't quite react enough for the fact that Thomas Coombe has just taken himself out of the lead of the Pro-Am field. He was up inside the top 10, or second in the Pro-Am field, I should say. He was up inside the top 10. He was going to get the invert, and now he's down to 17th. This is not good news. Bearing in mind Dave Price, who is championship contenders, not here today, he could have taken many points over him in the championship. They were tied on points, and now he's just thrown a load of them away. Not the way that he was probably hoping for this one to go. We watch Kyle Hardy still chasing down his teammate Peter Van Gool. They have been overtaken by Ben Oucher, and by the looks of it, it wasn't much of a fight from either of the Result Clothing machines. It was both drivers just let Oucher through. They're taking really good points in this one anyway. They are running around together, and by the looks of it, they are not taking a fight to each other as we head up towards the final couple of laps in this one. Matt Pearce currently holding the position for the invert pole. Good news for him. Christian Larson in that amateur field has made his way up to 11th, but he's 13 seconds back. Something major needs to happen in the top 10 for him to take advantage of the invert, but he has done a very good job to move up the order, as has Torban Mail, in fact, into 13th position. There's been some good movers and shakers throughout this evening in the overall race positions. We'd love to show you the moves in the overall, but unfortunately the way that our overlay works, it shows position changes in class results. The white flag flies. Is that actually out? I don't know. Kyle Hardy, though, goes past. I think we're going to get one more after this one. Kyle Hardy overtakes Peter Van Gool, though. They weren't fighting it out, but they're going to take the fight on the last lap of Askin. The Result Clothing team! There's contact between the two Audis. Hardy gets the overcut around the outside and moves into 5th position overall. It's the lead of the semi-pros. Peter Van Gool, who moved into class lead at the very start of the race, has been there the whole race long. His teammate has been chasing in behind. This is going to be the white flag with 10 seconds on the board, and Gordon Haig approaching club now. Gordon Haig It's taken him until the 8th round of asking, the 15th race of the season, but he will take his first overall race victory, and he does it from pole position, and he will beat teammate Kim Borkland to the line. Daniel Downing taking the final podium position, and Carl Hardy. Was it a slowdown, or was he giving the win to Peter Van Gool? And they just decided to fight it out, and Van Gool was going to take the win nonetheless. But Van Gool wins the semi-pros ahead of Hardy. Chris London wins the Pro-Ams. It is Matt Pearce leading and winning the amateur field. Thomas Coombe tries to fight back at the end to get past Paul Hurley. He will not be able to do so, and he will have to take 4th position in class and 15th position overall at the end of that one. But for the first time this season, Gordon Hay comes across the line with the overall first position. It is a second class win for him, but it is a first in the overall victory. Great job for him. Great job from all of our drivers. So with that being said and done, let's get a look then at our race results from the first race of the day. Gordon Hay takes his first race victory, overall race victory of the season, ahead of Kim Borkland and Daniel Downing. Ben Oucher coming home in 4th position overall. Peter Van Gool takes his second class win of the season, and he does it in back-to-back race ones. He did it last week at Snetterton. He does it again here today. I do believe that it was a position that was purposely passed along to Van Gool from Hardy after he led all race long. They went out for a little fight at the end. It was either that or a slowdown in the final chicane there. It was then 2nd position in class for Carl Hardy, 6th overall. Chris London went on to take his first class victory of the season, and he did it with a 7th position overall. A great job for him. Ahead of Marko Mikalainen. Bradley Sellers taking home 9th. And for a 8th time this season, Matt Pearce takes home class victory in the amateur field. He will also take pole position in the second race of the day. As everything broke because I hit the wrong button. I do apologise for that. Let's hit the right button. And we'll get Christian Larsen, who finished in 11th position, just missing out in the invert, but second in class for him. A great job for him indeed, with Vigard Olsen-Lear taking 12th overall in the end, ahead of Daniel Lewis and Paul Hurley, rounding out the final of those Pro-Am podiums. Thomas Coombe getting 15th in the end after picking up a very strange meatball flag. Didn't look like contact, but I think he did hit those barriers on the inside of the final chicane. It's very possible that's where he picks up on with some suspension damage on the front left. JB Deshay coming home in 16th in the end after starting 21st position. Torburn Mail coming home in 17th ahead of Josh Taylor. Lucas Henschel was a lap from the end. Demis Titchler disqualified in the end after failing to come down pit lane to sort out his penalty, and Fraser Garrity out very early doors after the contact on the opening race of them all. We prepare to go racing for the second race of the day, but before we do that, we are going to have a very quick word with one of our drivers, and we are going to opt for the man who stepped into victory lane in class for the first time this season. Chris, you managed to do it in the end to take home class victory. It was enough to take home 7th position overall, but yet class victory in the end. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely amazing. I'm not sure if I can swear or not. Absolutely amazing. This is what I felt like I could do all season and just haven't been able to do. And it feels really nice to be able to actually do it, right? Like, me and Matt had a great battle, right? Sending it 3 wide into the chicane at the end, me, Matt, and Marco. It was lovely. It was a great time. And just, yeah, I kind of lucked into it a bit, though.
Well, you say you lucked into it. You certainly had the pace, though. I would say that it was some good racing from you. It does mean in the second race of the day, you're the only Pro-Am inside the top 10. You will be starting from 4th position, so a bit of gap between the Pro-Ams behind you. How are you going to use that into race 2? Do you think that you could still find yourself up at the top, maybe take a double-class victory?
I'd love to. Reverse grids since Road America last year kind of terrify me. What did I say last year? Last season. Kind of terrify me, so we're going to see what we can do. But hopefully we can keep it on the track, and hopefully we can keep it going and just stay in the draft and relax for a bit, you know?
Well, good luck for race number 2. Let's see what you can do. Congratulations, though, on your first class victory of the season.
Thank you.
Chris London there, coming home as winner in the Pro-Am field in race number 1. As I said, it will give him 4th position on the grid for race number 2. So we'll see what he is able to do there. These reverse grids do normally switch it around a little bit, so we'll see how it all plays out when we get down onto the track in about 2 minutes' time. They'll start to grid up in just a moment, and we will talk you through your entire field of drivers as they'll stand for race number 2, sitting in these inverted positions from the top 10. The rest of your field will start as they finished. Good evening to everyone watching now, and to John from Cyprus joining in, not out there on track with us this evening, although I still need to see the dedication of taking a sim rig on holiday just so that we can take part in these Friday events. But I do hope that you are enjoying Cyprus. We look forward to seeing you back down on track again, and we go ready here at Thruxton, ready for race number 2, the fastest circuit in the UK. Let's have a look then at the grid for the second race of the day, and with the top 10 inverted, Matt Pierce of Cool Camel Racing will be starting at the very front of the order in the amateur field. Bradley Sellers will be starting alongside head of Marco Mikalainen. A lot of new names for the season up at the front there. Chris London will be starting in 4th after taking his first class win of the season. Can he make it back-to-back class victories? He certainly has a good opportunity with the next Pro-Am driver starting in 12th. Carl Hardy will be 5th on the grid, ahead of Peter Van Gool. Ben Oucher, the highest of the pros, will be starting in 7th, ahead of Daniel Downing and Kim Portland. And Gordon Haig, after taking his first overall win of the season, will be starting 10th on the grid for race number 2. Christian Larson will be 11th on the grid here, ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah. It'll then be Daniel Lewis in 13th, ahead of Paul Hurley, as they were when they finished race number 1. Continuing in that fashion, it's Thomas Coombe ahead of JB Deshay, Torburn Mail and Josh Taylor on the grid. And at the back of the order will be Lucas Henschel and Demis Titchler. Might see Fraser Garrity, we might not. We certainly hope that we see the number 5 machine out on track for the second race of the day. It's good to see Titchler back out on track, and hopefully this time no meatball flags, no disqualifications for Demis Titchler. We're hoping to get the number 22 machine up the order in a recovery drive, following in the footsteps maybe of JB Deshay, who was able to work his way up to 16th in race number 1. Can he find his way any higher up the order in race number 2? You'll certainly be hoping so. Matt Pierce then will be at the very front of the order in his Cool Camel machine, ahead of Bradley Sellers, starting alongside, as I say, a couple of new names at the very front of the order here. Your top 3 spaces are new to SRL this season. We prepare to go racing for race number 2. We are green, and away. Are we going to stay clean on the start-finish line this time? Wow, there's a lot of movement in the back, but it does look like all our drivers are going to make it through turn number 1 without incidents. It is going to be 2 by 2 up towards turn number 2, and we go 3 wide as Ben Oucher tries to dive to the inside to make more positions gain. Bradley Sellers has fallen down the order in that gaggle. He's going under attack by the Sim Racing Norway outfits, and he's already out of the top 10 on the opening lap of asking after a front row start. It's 3 wide, coming up towards Noble, and Ben Oucher is the man who finds himself down the order, and a big hit, a huge hit there with Fraser Garrity, who's out again on the opening lap of Asking. We will have to jump and watch that when it all calms down, but towards the front of the order, it is still going 2, sometimes even 3 wide as we head up towards Club, trying to sort themselves out on the opening lap of Asking. Vigard Olsen Leah finds his way into the top 10, but at the end of the first lap, it is Marko Mikalainen who leads the way clear of Carl Hardy. It is Matt Pearce running around in 3rd position. Started on pole, he's only dropped a couple of positions. Bradley Sellers, who dropped to outside the top 10. Of course, some big instance in front of him. He's back up to 8th position right now, but he has been overtaken by 3 of your 4 pro drivers, with Ben Oucher down pit lane in that pro field. Chris London gets past Matt Pearce, so does Downing and Borkland. Pearce falling significantly down the order as he goes down to 7th, potentially just backing out from the fight here, not trying to get himself in any instance. He's seen what has happened in the early stages of this race. Talking about the early stages of this race, that's not what I meant to press. This is what happened to Ben Oucher. It was contact there with Van Gool, and as he came back onto the track, absolutely no brakes at all there. And I don't know whether that's wide on board here. Was it broken suspension that prevented the no brakes there? Potentially, as he came back on, this was the collection from Garrity. Bang. Massive hit. He was then collected by Mail. This was Mail's view of the incident. Big hit. Look how high Garrity goes. And then just, again, swings across the tracks. And another big, massive collection there. That will definitely be reviewed by stewards. Not just the initial incident, but you've got to think about the following incident as well. Could it have been prevented there from the way of Ben Oucher? Was that possible? We couldn't see from the camera angles that we had whether the brakes were applied or not. But that is something that will be reviewed. And if brakes weren't applied, I am expecting quite a hefty penalty on the way of Oucher, but we have to wait and see. Back to live pictures then, and it was Paul Hurley dropping down behind Josh Taylor and JB Deshay, down to 13th position now, as he looks to re-attack Deshay up towards Club. As we come into the right-hander of turn number 10, it will swing the way of Hurley, but he backs in behind, going side by side so early in the race. Isn't going to end up too well for our drivers as Kim Borkland gets past your leading Pro-Am driver. Chris London holds on to 5th. He is ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah, as that was Gordon Haig going sideways there. A little bit of a touch, it looked like, with Sellers. Sellers here potentially under attack from Matt Pearce now. But for Chris London, he's going to want to keep this gap to Vigard Olsen Leah, who's that trailing car behind this fight, so that he can look for win number 2 in class. Peter Van Gool is looking to try and go for a 3rd win in class. He's got a lot of work to do though right now. 4th in class with your leaders, Mikalainen and Hardy, at the very, very front of the order. As we now go side by side, London trying to hold on to Gordon Haig. And we come up towards the through turn number 8 of Church into Brooklands now and up towards Club. Chris London trying to keep Gordon Haig, championship contender, at bay. Haig jumps to the inside though, and that was going to be London backing out just a little bit. And he gives up the position. He gives up 5th, but he is thinking about overall position. He's not, his class position as well. He's thinking about those points that he will be gaining. Take the fight, lose out potentially with issues. Daniel Lewis has issues into the final chicane. Missed the breaking point collection there with one of the pole position drivers. And a big off for Daniel Lewis. And it looked like, trying to figure out who it was that he came together with. It was Paul Hurley, of course, because the other pole position is leading. So it was Paul Hurley that he came together with and missing that braking zone. Contact with Hurley, he sends himself into the wall, and he will be joining Oucher and Garrity out of this race. Race number 2s have always been a bit of a mixed bag. We can sometimes have absolutely fantastic racing, and sometimes we can have an absolute wreckfest. And for some of our drivers out there, it is turning into a bit of a wreckfest of an evening. Race number 2 not going the way that they would have hoped for. JB Dejay started 21st in race number 1, worked his way up to 16th by the end of that one, started this one at 16th, up to 13th position right now. He was on the rear end of Demis Titchler, but unable to find his way through at this stage of asking. Carl Hardy is on the rear end of Marko Mikalainen. They are leading, and in second position in this one they're being chased by Pro Championship contenders Daniel Downing and Kim Borkland. It looks like Daniel Lewis might have just come back out of pit lane here and then jumped out some other way. So it does look like we've got Lewis back out, which is good news for him. Not good news is we've lost Gordon Haig. It doesn't look like there was an accident for Haig. It looks like it might have been a disconnect for Gordon Haig. We ride, we look at Chris London here. We ride on board. Was it a disconnect here from Gordon Haig? It was. We lose Haig from a disconnect. We've seen some connectivity issues for Gordon Haig throughout the evening, but that is a major shame. After taking victory in race number 1, Gordon Haig is out of race number 2. It just leaves Downing and Borkland taking good points in the second race of the day. Can Daniel Downing take third class win of the season? Can he turn it into an overall win if he can catch and pass Hardy and Mikalainen without Kim Borkland making his way past behind? That's the question, but right now we have to wait for the answer. Kim Borkland is chasing in behind, looks to the right hand side, then that door is closed. He now looks to the left, drops in behind once more. You can see how these cars bounce their way over the curbings. They take them as aggressively as they possibly can. But of course, if these two start fighting it out and Borkland starts going side by side with Daniel Downing, there is no doubt that they will drop off of the fight between Mikalainen and Hardy. Neither of those drivers have taken an overall victory this season. Hardy taking one class win, as has Marko Mikalainen over the course of this season. Can they turn class win number 2 into a potential overall race victory? Bradley Sellers wants to try and fight with Chris London through the final chicane. London holds on to it. Sellers drops in behind, and now Matt Pearce in the amateurs is going to take the fight to Peter Van Gool. He backs out of it as Van Gool goes to the inside of Sellers. He didn't want to make it 3 wide up through turn number 1. Instead, it will drop to 2 wide between Sellers and Van Gool. They're fighting out for the final podium position in class. Van Gool touches the rear right tyre of Sellers. It unsettles Sellers, sends him wide. Van Gool gets the better line on the exit, makes that position. Matt Pearce has placed his nose in on the exit of Segrave, but up to Noble. Once again, the amateur driver drops in behind, not wanting to take the fight too hard and cost a potential win in class. Remember what happened at Snetterton, where he missed his braking point, crashed into the back of another driver and took himself out of that race. We head up towards the end of lap number 8, and this is the fight for the lead. Kyle Hardy to the outside of Mikalainen. As we get in towards Club, Hardy goes a lot later on the brakes. Mikalainen trying to get the speed on the exit, force Hardy into a mistake perhaps. This is invited Downing and Borkland into the fight, but here comes Mikalainen back up the inside. It is side by side between the two of them, but that is Hardy down to third as Daniel Downing makes his way through. Here comes Borkland for fourth. Downing looking for the outside of Mikalainen. Mikalainen's going defensive. Hardy keeping Borkland at bay for the moment as well as we exit turn number 4 of Segrave. Up to Noble here. Downing following in behind Mikalainen as we go through the left-hander of Noble. Difficult place to go for the overtake. If you can set yourself up through Goodwood, you can carry the speed, of course, all the way into Church and up towards Club. I expect that to be where Downing goes for the overtake. Auckland looking to get the speed on Hardy in the exact same position as we head up towards Church here. We can see that fight for the lead ahead. We can see Hardy just in front of Auckland. Auckland lifts just a little bit mid-corner there through Church. It takes him out of a potential push towards the lead, up towards the lead. Downing did look for just a moment to go to the inside, and it didn't come out for him there, so he'll stay alongside for, well, so stay behind for now and drop back into second position as we have 13 minutes left to go. We're about halfway through this race, and at the end of this race, end of this lap, we will be halfway. Kyle Hardy there, allowing Kim Auckland through. He knows what's on offer here for himself in terms of points. There's no need to risk the fight, and if he can keep up with the two pros, he knows at some point they will make their way past Mikalainen, and all he has to do is follow them past the number 312 machine. We head into Noble and up towards Goodwood here as the fight for your lead opens up just a little bit between Downing and Auckland, but it maintains relatively similar between Mikalainen and Downing. We come out of turn number 7 and up towards Church here. Downing will be looking to carry the speed once more up towards Club. Mikalainen pushes hard. He's onto the grass just a little bit. Downing now puts his nose up the inside as we come through Woodham Hill. Downing will have the inside line. Mikalainen backs out of it, looks for the speed on the exit, but Downing slows down. Early corner, Mikalainen slams on his brakes, almost in fear there, and it means the gap opens to half a second now between Downing and Mikalainen. Auckland will be hoping that he is able to follow through quickly so that he is able to catch up to Downing and take the fight for the race lead all the way through this race. As they've settled themselves down for just a moment. Demis Titchler has got past Josh Taylor as well. That change of positions just happened through the chicane. This is how that one occurred. Taylor pushes himself, overdrives himself out of the chicane. In fact, Titchler then gets the inside through turn number 1, and having that inside in turn number 1 just places you perfectly for the turn 1 up towards Campbell. Coombe then is chasing down Olsen, Leah, Sellers and Pierce. This is the fight for 7th. That is being led by the amateur driver, but every time that Pierce has got himself into a fight, he's done exactly what he is doing now. He's backed out of it. He knows he has, he doesn't need all these points in the Amateur Field Championship. He just needs points. And right now, actually, he doesn't even need those. He's leading so well. He pushes Sellers up towards Club, though. Is he going to take the fight back towards Sellers? He's on the outside line. He's going to carry it. It's a little bit of a lock-up, though, and he drops in behind. But Pierce might be taking the fight to Sellers at this stage of asking. 6 cars here, all in this fight for 7th position overall in this race. As we go through turn number 1, we get down to the final 10 minutes of asking. Mikalainen has kept Auckland at bay for the entirety of the last lap. Auckland overdrives just a little bit through the exit of Segrave there. They were down to about 10th of a second. It reopens now, but I'm sure that Auckland is not going to sit back and let that gap open up anymore. I apologise. I had a little bit of a hiccup in the middle of my sentence there. Coombe, here's Titchler. Look to his inside. How hard is Coombe going to fight it? He is not. Once again, it looks like our class drivers now, especially the ones that are in championship contentions, aren't risking the accidents. They aren't fighting drivers that are not in their class. Yes, they are losing points. They are. But they're losing points to non-championship contenders. For Thomas Coombe, he's on to the podium in class right now. That is good. He finished 4th in the race 1. He's up to 3rd in race number 2. And after having to come down pit lane to fix a meatball, that's a pretty good evening at the end of the day for a driver that's had some issues. Kyle Hardy gets back past Kim Auckland. I think Auckland picked up a slowdown into the club chicane. So I believe he's just pulled over to the side and let Hardy through. That's exactly what has happened. Kim Borkland picked up a slowdown in the final chicane. Easy to do here at Thruxton. A fight going on once more. Vigard Olsen-Lear has to go defensive on Demis Titchler as he now looks towards the inside. Titchler is coming on a massive resurgence drive. Remember, he got DQ'd from race 1, failure to serve the meatball flag. So not able to finish race number 1, getting disqualified from that one, will have no points on the board. However, he's recovering well, up to 10th right now, and looking to take the fight to Vigard Olsen-Lear. I do apologise as well for just those few moments every now and again throughout the course of the evening as I have failed to say anything. I'm just having to drink quite a lot. It continues to be very high in the UK. Titchler goes into the back of Olsen-Lear. That's how he picked up a meatball in race 1. Will he be okay this time? It was square on the bonnet. He loses position to Thomas Kuhn, but I think his car is okay. This time of asking, he loses one position, but he can go back out in this one again. It was just a small momentary error there from Titchler into the back end of Olsen-Lear, which caused that issue. We'll have another look at this one. There it is, the hit onto the rear end. Expecting Lear maybe to just carry a little bit more speed at the end of that one. Phrasing Garrity over in the YouTube chat. No words for tonight. No, it's been a very hard evening for you, Garrity. Out in race number 1, contact on the line. Out in race number 2, contact through that corner of Goodwood. In the review of that second one, it was a bit of an interesting one to watch at. We made our comments and we'll wait to see what the stewards say at the end of that one, because it was a shame to see so many cars out on the opening lap. What I would say though, Garrity, is the airtime you got, I would say, here at Thruxton does have a airport in the centre. I would say that you've qualified for your pilot's licence, which I think is always a nice step at the end of the day. If you weren't able to get your points, at least you got the licence for flying a plane. Right, Vigard Olsen-Lear gives up a couple of positions up towards turn number 1 from a slowdown. Easy to pick up out of that final chicane, of course. The fight at the front returns. Marko Mikalainen, Carl Hardy, they're no longer fighting for overall victory. That's looking like it's going to go the way of Daniel Downing. However, this is the fight going the way for second now. It is still the lead fight in your semi-pros. Hardy has got the inside of Mikalainen, who's run very wide out of Goodwood all the way up to Church. And Hardy was just able to carry more than enough speed to make that overtake. But now Mikalainen has got level into club. Going the long way round is going to be difficult. He backs out of it. He's looking to get the speed, and the same thing happens again. That's exactly what happened when Daniel Downing made the overtake. Marko Mikalainen looks to carry more speed on the exit and then gets too scared too easily and backs out of it way too much. He almost got run over by Borkland in that, but he could have just kept the throttle in. Instead, he slows right down because he's worried he's about to drive into the car in front of him, who's on a slightly slower line, and instead of taking advantage of that, he's backing out of it. And I wouldn't make a massive thing of it if it was just the once, but it's the second time it's happened, when Downing went through, and now when Hardy's gone through, and he's thrown away what I think is going to be race victory there. Yes, they've still got 5 more minutes, but Hardy has been faster. Apologies. Hardy has been faster than Mikalainen all the way through this evening. So the fact that now Hardy is through, the gap's already gaining and gaining and gaining. I think that back out where he could have carried the speed through might have just cost him victory in that semi-pro field. Talking about victory in classes, Thomas Kuhn is on a resurgence drive right now. He has made it up to second in the Pro-Am field. He's up to 8th position. He's getting pushed here by Pierce. Titchler's there, though. It is 3 wide up towards Cub. It backs down into 2 wide, and then it goes single file. Kuhn ahead of Titchler, ahead of Pierce. I only jumped back to these ones because I was going to make some comments about Kuhn, but he's now under attack from Demis Titchler. Titchler goes to the inside through Allard. They remain side by side. Coombe not backing out of that one. He wants the speed, he wants the position, and he's going out to do it the long way round at Campbell to hold it through. It will switch over to his inside into Cobb, but as they come up towards Segrave, once again Titchler will have the inside, and that time Titchler can get the position and the overlap completed. More than enough to get up to 8th. I was going to say, though, that Thomas Coombe is driving well out there. He was only 4 seconds behind Chris London. That's about 6 seconds now behind Chris London. But what that does mean is Chris London, after taking home his first class victory of the season in race 1, he is very much on an opportunity to take home a second class victory here. And he's only 3.5 minutes away from doing it. As we come up towards the timing line, it looks like we are going to be just 3 laps away from it. Kim Portland gets past Marco Mikalainen, a late move to the inside of Club. They're very close between them there, but it is the sim race in Norway by Polyakemi, the championship leader driver, who makes his way up to 3rd. He has got a lot of work to do if he wants to get up towards Carl Hardy in this one, but it does look like Daniel Downing is on the way for 3rd win of the season. It'll be the first time that Downing has won since round 2. He won race 2 at Donington Park, the first round of the season. He won race 1 at Mugello, the second round of the season. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep himself a second clear of Carl Hardy right now. That gap is closing on the last lap. In fact, Hardy was 0.3 of a second faster than Downing. Could there be a fight for the lead between the pro and the semi-pro by the end of this one? Various fights going out there right now, but we do have we are just jumping back and forward between it. Mikalainen was keeping on the back end of Balkland, has dropped off a little bit now as the lap has continued, and Lucas Henschel is on the rear end of JB Deshea now. This is for 12th position overall. If Henschel is able to make the move through, if JB Deshea is able to make a move, he could get past Olsen Lear for 11th. Very late break there from Henschel. Somehow doesn't actually lose any time in doing that extremely alternate line in towards the club chicane, but he will have to give up that. This is Larson and Hurley. Hurley abandons. Larson runs deep. This could help out. I was about to say it could help out Torben Mail. It won't, because Mail is way too far back. Something has happened to Mail. I think he's come down pit lane. Yes, he was caught up in that opening lap accident, of course, so he has come down pit lane in this race. Larson gets past Paul Hurley. What we do have to say is that Gordon Haig has made his way back out on track after disconnecting earlier in the session, which was genuinely a connection failure for him. Almost like where we have real-world mechanical failures, that's the sim version of it. He has managed to get his car back out onto the track here. JB Deshea is looking to get past Olsen Lear here as they fight it out for 11th position. Through Church they go. Olsen Lear will drive it too hard on the exit. Deshea will move to the right-hand side of the circuit. It'll be inside up towards Club. Matt Pearce and Demis Titchler fighting up ahead as well. Titchler gets past Pearce. Deshea drops in behind Olsen Lear, but the white flag is out. And it looks like the leading orders are going to stay the way that they are. And for the second time this season, Hardy is looking to take class victory, as is Chris London, which would be absolutely fantastic after taking his first class victory of the season in race 1. He's looking to do the double. Olsen Lear breaks too late into Campbell. He drives off the circuit. He pushes, and he pushes. JB Deshea. Olsen Lear trying to keep Deshea at bay behind. You cannot blame that on Deshea at all. Olsen Lear ran off the circuit, came back on the circuit and tried to shove Deshea off. I put that contact on Olsen Lear, and fortunately for Deshea, it is Olsen Lear that is the one that falls foul of that one. Henschel finds his way through as well, but for the third time this season, for the first time since round number 2, Daniel Downing is victor here at round 8, and Carl Hardy wins the semi-pro field. Contact through the final chicane. Changes in position overall. Van Gaal and London look like they came together at the end there. We'll have to have a look as Matt Pearce crosses the line to take home 10th again in race number 2 and victory in the amateur field. What happened through the final chicane? This is Van Gaal and Pearce, I believe. No, it wasn't. That was Van Gaal. No, that was Van... Yes. Who was that? No, sorry, that was Van Gaal and London, wasn't it? Yes, that was Van Gaal and London. So what happened again? Let's have a look at this one. It was contact in the corner. They came through the corner. Van Gaal is turning in. London's as... Oh, London over... He doesn't leave the room on the inside when he's side by side with another car. I mean, it's a tight chicane. You almost never go side by side through that anyway. But Bradley Sellers is a driver that went up 2 positions because of that final lap contact. Let's go have another look at the Vegard Olsen Lear issue on that final lap of asking, because it all started when he ran off the circuit. Look at this. It was contact with De Gea, though. I missed that. It was contact with De Gea that Olsen Lear then ran deep. Lear then was annoyed with that, stayed all the way to the right. I mean, De Gea had nowhere really to go, but it does look like he might have been turning left, trying to get across. So I think that was just both drivers. It was initial contact from De Gea. Olsen Lear didn't like that, so he tried to squeeze De Gea off, and it led to contact. I think that you can't self-police in series like this. You just, if there was that initial contact, he could have given up the position, yes, but there could have been penalty points going the way of De Gea, and he could have taken the fight a little bit further around the lap. You just have to think about those ones. However, that is how it comes to an end, and this is how it comes to an end in terms of the race results. Let's have a little bit look at these ones, because it was race victory for Daniel Downing. As I say, for the 3rd time this season, Daniel Downing has taken victory, but it is the first time since round number 2 that he's been able to cross the race line as victor. Carl Hardy then takes home victory in the semi-pro fields for win number 2 in class. Kim Borkland taking home 3rd overall. Marko Mikalainen takes home 4th overall, with Bradley Sellers rounding out your semi-pro podium. Chris London taking his first win of the season in class in race number 1. He went back-to-back race victories to take win number 2 in race number 2. Peter Van Gaal taking home 7th overall, ahead of Thomas Kuhn and Demis Titchler and Matt Pearce. It's win number 9 of the season for him as he continues to dominate the amateur championship. In 11th position is then JB De Gea ahead of Lucas Henschel and Vegard Olsen Lear. Josh Taylor in 14th position ahead of Christian Larsen, 15th. 16th went the way of Paul Hurley. A lap down was Torben Mail and Daniel Lewis. Gordon Haig getting back onto the tracks 2 laps down. Out of the race was Ben Oucher and Fraser Garrity after the lap 1 accident that involved both of them. What an evening of racing it has been. Before we get on to the end of the broadcast, though, we are going to get on to our interviews and talk to a few of our drivers at the end of that one. And we'll talk to a driver who we've not spoken too much about. Sorry, not too much about. We haven't actually spoken to him very often over the course of the season. However, we will get out there and talk to Gordon Haig. Haig, who has taken victory in class 2 times this season. But for the first time this season, Gordon, you came home as victor in race number 1. It was a shame that it ended the way it did in race 2 with the disconnect. But talk us through that first race, because it was a great win for you. It just looked so dominant.
Yeah, I've had a few pole positions, but never been able to actually win a heat, so was very happy today. I had a lot of dropouts also in the first heat, so I was a little bit worried, and suddenly everything just shut down, so I had to start the router again and try to connect just to get some points. So it wasn't too good for me, but more exciting for the the races that comes up now. I think we have 2 left. Is it?
Yep, 2 more left to go. We head across to, I believe it's Mid-Ohio next week, and then we head to Zandvoort in the final week. So the championship is still there. It's getting, it's getting further and further apart. Your teammate, Kim, is doing a great job at getting those points on the board. Do you think that there's still a chance for you to try and take that fight with him, or are you going to be supporting him in the sort of final couple of rounds?
Yeah, he's saying he can't do the last race anyway. So I think I don't think he can win if that's the fact. I don't know how about Daniel now. Is he far in front of me and Kim, or I don't know. I have to see what the points at. But of course, Daniel can have some bad moments also in the last 2 rounds. So I think we have to to do the races before we know when. It's very close.
Indeed, it is. It's the one of the closest pro championships, the most amount of drivers that have been included in the pro championship since I stepped into the commentary booth a couple of seasons ago. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I have to say though, Gordon, it's a shame to see you out of race number 2 with connectivity issues. However, race number 1, congratulations on a season first overall race victory.
Thank you, and it's a good broadcast, so I have to give a shout out to you too. It's fun to look at the races afterwards. So
I appreciate that, Gordon. Thank you so much again. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing how the championship turns out. Good luck.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Gordon Haig there, coming home as a victor in race number 1. Coming home 19th position race number 2, but he did get back out on track after some connectivity issues. So it was nice to see him back out going around once more. And then we will end off our broadcast here. We're talking to a man that was fighting throughout the evening. Started the qualifying session without a lap time on the board. So starting 21st position in race number 1. Had to work your way up the order. Got 16th in race 1. Managed to make your way up to 11th in race number 2. But for JB Dejay, it was a good evening of fighting up the order. Ended with a little bit of contact in that final race, but you came home unscathed. Talk us through your evening.
Hey, how are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to have you back in the booth.
Yeah, well, I got a home project and work and all that, so it's been a couple weeks since I've even been in the rig, so I didn't even qualify. I tried, but I kept getting off track, so I started in the back and figured I'll just try and not kill anybody, and like kind of fell off around me. I got tangled up with Torban on the last lap, which put me back a few spots. And got a good start in the second, and just kind of wanted to bide my time. And Vigard and I got caught up together, a white flag in the second race. So it could have been better, but I had fun, and that was what I wanted to do tonight.
Well, it's great. It's always great fun seeing you racing out there. Of course, the championship has never been one that whenever I've talked to you, it's never been one that you've been focused on too much, especially when you're not able to get into the rig. It's about getting out there and having fun. We've got 2 more rounds left until we go into the next season of competition. Are we seeing you out there? We've got Mid-Ohio in a week. We've got Zandvoort in 2 weeks. Will we see you out there on track?
I'm making plans too, so hopefully it will all work out and work doesn't get in the way.
Well, we hope to see you out on track. Well done on your coverage drive up the order. Some decent results, and I say a nice end with a good evening of racing. So well done for you. We look forward to seeing what you can do again in the future.
Thanks so much, Joe, and I'm looking forward to watching the broadcast.
Thank you, JB Dejay there, coming home in 11th position in race number 1. Race number 2, it was 16th position in race number 1, and we do have to go back to him, don't we? After winning race number 1 in class, taking his first class victory.
Hello?
We talked to you after race number 1. Well, race number 2, you managed to do it. It was 6th position, 1 better than you did in race number 1, and it was a second class win on the board. And after taking 8 rounds to get your first one, you managed to take the double.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm so hyped. I always tend to do well at fast tracks, right? Like medium speed to fast tracks, where you can just carry a lot of speed, especially using the track limits. But I'm just blown away. Yeah.
Well, you showed some good racing out there. You definitely took the fight in the second race. We saw you giving up a couple of positions to the pro drivers, but once you had the semi-pros around you, you saw Coombe closing up. You certainly weren't taking it easy out there. You were taking the fight all the way to the end, and you came out on top. So we've got, I would say, different tracks coming up in the next couple of weeks. Some slower tracks, definitely, compared to Thruxton. Some more complex tracks. How do you feel like you're going to be able to approach those?
So it depends. So the next track is obviously Zandvoort, right? And Zandvoort.
No, Zandvoort's the final round.
Oh, what's the next one then? It's not Zandvoort, is it?
Mid-Ohio, if I'm remembering
Oh,
correctly.
I like Mid-Ohio. I like Mid-Ohio. I just drove it for the first time a few days ago, and it's lovely. It's a great track. It's like if you take the roller coaster at VIR and you make it the whole track, it's just all balance and just like keeping the rotation and just keeping your minimum speed up. It's so good. It's so good.
Well, so I'm guessing then that it might be another evening where we could see you potentially move your way towards the front of the Pro-Am field. It's been nice to see you up there. So you talked about Zandvoort then. How are you feeling about that one? That is going to be the final round. No drop week, of course.
I have never driven. Well, I've driven Zandvoort a lot, right? I've driven it in P Cup. I've driven it in LMP3. It's a great track in both of those. I am, but just the way that I drive Zandvoort in those cars, I'm kind of worried about how it's going to drive in the TCR, right? Because I tend to rotate a lot on the throttle there, which obviously you can do in a rear-wheel drive car, and you can't really do in a front-wheel drive car. So I'm definitely going to be interested in to see how it feels. It was actually that track has a special place in my heart because it was the first track where I actually sort of like linked it all together. For the like in a race, it was like a month or so into iRacing, and I was in LMP3, and I was just like, oh, that's what racing's supposed to feel like. That's what turning on the brakes is. That's using your neutral space, etc. Right? And it's just. I love that track, and I will enjoy it whether I come in plumb last or whether I come in first in class. So.
Wow, it'll be interesting to see what you can do, but you put on a great show this evening. Congratulations on not only your first class win of the season, but 2 class wins throughout the course of the evening. Great job, Chris. Well done on your racing.
Thank you so much, Joe. Also,
Chris,
a big shout out to Lucas. He's amazing.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Lucas, putting on a great show as well, as always, in 3rd position. A great job, though, from Chris over the course of the evening. And, of course, from all of our drivers out there, it has been a great evening of racing, as always here. We will be back out again for the penultimate round of asking in 1 week's time when we head across to Mid-Ohio for round number 9. The finale in 2 weeks' time kicks off at Zandvoort. Make sure you are joining us for that one. And don't forget, season number 12 will be kicking off straight away a week after. So if you haven't already done so, head across to the SRL Discord, which is in the link in the YouTube over on the SRL TV. It's also on the screen now on your QR code. Make sure you head across and get yourself joined. Right then, until next time, we hope you have a fantastic evening of racing and that you have a fantastic week ahead of you. Here from SRL TV and Joseph Wright Broadcasting, we thank you for watching. We will be back out for the penultimate round of competition in 1 week's time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that follow button, so you're notified when we go live and you don't miss a minute of it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.